Song vs Gutierrez is the main event of UFC's return to China. A bantamweight fight between Song Yadong and Chris Gutierrez is expected to be the main event of UFC Shanghai, which is slated to take place on December 9th at Shanghai Indoor Arena, as multiple people with knowledge of the promotion's plans revealed to MMA Fighting. The fight was first announced on Twitter by MagicM_MMA Bets. For his second bout of the year, the 25-year-old Song hopes to improve on his incredible main event victory against Ricky Simon in April, which came via 5th round TKO. Rob Font was supposed to meet the number 12 ranked bantamweight in the MMA Fighting Global Rankings in August at UFC 292. However, the bantamweight was forced to withdraw from the bout. In his 11 UFC fights, Gutierrez is 8-2-1, which is one victory coming via unanimous decision over Alatengili at UFC Vegas 81 in October. El Guapo had an 8-fight winning streak going into the year, but Pedro Munoz ended it in April. Gutierrez defeated Frankie Edgar in a stunning knockout at UFC 281 before that defeat. Originally, the UFC was supposed to travel to Shanghai on December 9th for a fight night event. Even though the event has been moved to the Las Vegas Apex, the card still has a strong Asian influence. Many of the bouts don't sound all that interesting, but the bantamweight main event between Song Yadong of China and the formidable Chris Gutierrez jumps out. Considering how stacked the 135-pound weight class is, the fact that both of these men are presently placed in the top 15 is significant. Although Song is presently rated 7 places ahead of Gutierrez, who is ranked 14th, El Guapo will undoubtedly be looking to pass him. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off, because Song has been playing excellently lately. Ricky Simon and Marlon Moraes were among the opponents he defeated. His sole recent defeat came against Corey Sandhagen. In 2022, Gutierrez gained notoriety after a series of impressive knockouts, which included a stoppage of Frankie Edgar. For the world's top mixed martial arts promotion, November is finally finished with a rare weekend without a UFC event scheduled. It's time to look forward to December, with 3 UFC events scheduled for next month, including a highly anticipated pay-per-view. Let's look at some of the much anticipated fights of December and Jan. Ahead of the UFC 296 between Leon Edwards and Colby Covington, many former UFC fighters predicted how the fight was likely to be played out. The current UFC welterweight champion, Leon Edwards, is a British-Jamaican mixed martial artist. He won 4 fights in a single day in a small event 8 months after beginning his training. Pre-UFC career, Edwards went 8-1 after making his professional debut on June 5th, 2011. His winning and defending the BAMMA welterweight championship was part of a 5-0 record in the sport. The only consequence of his illegal knee throw was a disqualification. December 8th, 2014, UFC Fight Night Shogun vs. St. Preux marked Edwards' UFC debut against Claudio Silva. Although a split decision defeated Edwards, he recovered fast, taking out Seth Baksinski 8 seconds into the opening round with a straight left and ground and pound. With a 16-3 record in professional mixed martial arts, Colby Chaos Covington was the UFC interim welterweight champion and presently holds the top ranking in the division. Colby Covington made his UFC debut against An Ying Wand in UFC Fight Night 48. Colby used a TKO to win the bout. Colby would go on to win his next 2 fights over Mike Pyle and Wagner Silva Gomez, before suffering his first professional MMA defeat at UFC 194 due to a first-round guillotine choke submission to Warley Alves. Let's see what the UFC undefeated champion Ian Gary predicts for the Edwards vs. Covington fight. In their welterweight title match at UFC 296 this December, Ian Machado Gary is positive that Leon Edwards will smash Colby Covington. Gary was eager to disparage his opponent Covington's ability from the start. Colby has 0 striking, Gary asserted. He just charges at you, snatching you, pushing you up against the cage, so he can sit on you and lie down. It's insane how boring he is in the octagon. The Future went on to compliment his training buddy Edwards and explained how Rocky had the advantages against Covington. Gary clarified, "I've seen the striking. I've trained with Leon. Leon is incredibly neat and tidy." Additionally, based on their prior bouts, Colby had 2 losses to Kamaru Usman. I don't imagine a scenario in which Covington defeats Leon Edwards, because Usman lost to Leon twice. Who wins at UFC 297 in Jan? Sean Strickland or Dricus du Plessis? Let's see what the other fighters have to say about their much-anticipated UFC 297. In 2024, UFC 297 will mark the first pay-per-view event, and Dana White has revealed the primary attraction for the card. The main event of the UFC 297 schedule is a middleweight championship fight between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland. Strickland defeated Israel Adesanya with such dominance that he was declared the new champion. Du Plessis will now challenge Strickland for the championship instead of facing Adesanya as originally planned. The event is scheduled for January 20th, 2024. This will be one of the bouts that the UFC has announced thus far, when it makes its first trip back to Canada since 2018, according to Sherdog. Before their main event at UFC 297 in January of next year, undefeated middleweight champion Sean Strickland anticipates a war with rising rival Dricus du Plessis, but he maintains he's far more experienced than the South African. At UFC 293 in Sydney, Australia, in September, Strickland, the recently crowned undisputed middleweight champion, stunned the fight world by defeating Israel Adesanya, the former 2-time division gold medalist, by majority decision. Since entering the octagon 3 years ago, du Plessis, a native of Pretoria, has gone an incredible 6 bouts winning streak. In their championship eliminator match, he won his middleweight title battle via spectacular second-round knockout over previous champion Robert Whittaker. Covina native Strickland will try to make history by successfully defending his title against du Plessis. He anticipates a war of wills and an even more difficult fight with the South African before facing the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Sean Strickland stated, "I think Dricus is so awkward but he's good, where I feel like I'm a million times superior to him. I know who he is. I spar with men he's fought. Johnny Walker and Magomed Ankalaev, 2 sensations in the light heavyweight class, will square off on UFC 294's PPV main card in Abu Dhabi. The always erratic Johnny Walker is on a 3-fight winning streak and has just defeated a seasoned veteran in Anthony Smith with impressive style. After a contentious draw in a major title bout against the previous champion, Jan Blachowicz, Ankalaev makes his comeback after an almost year-long absence. He had amassed an incredible 9-fight winning streak before the bout. Still, this bout between 2 of the best and most experienced kickboxers in their class is sure to be exciting and may easily be the fight of the night. Ankalaev is a clear favorite going into this fight because of his obvious grappling advantage and considerably stronger background. There aren't many weaknesses in Ankalaev's repertoire. His lone true defeat came from a thrilling last-second triangle with Paul Craig, following 3 dominant rounds from Ankalaev. Other than that, the only other battle he experienced difficulty in was the Blachowicz fight, in which a formidable former champion's barrage of leg kicks stopped him from moving. But even in that fight, he managed to recover with some strong wrestling and in later rounds get the draw. For a light heavyweight of his height, he uses a wide variety of kicks in his kickboxing, which strikes the ideal balance between power and delicacy. He can put opponents on their back foot with these deadly front kicks, and his roundhouse kicks to the body and legs are a great way to gradually wear them down. Initiating boxing exchanges with deadly right crosses, he usually finds a clinch and overworks the opponent, demonstrating the rapidity of his hands. Walker has had an impressive career comeback since his stunning knockout loss to Jamahal Hill last year, which made for a great highlight reel. Walker has soared back up toward the elite ranks of the top 5 after victories by unanimous decision over Anthony Lionheart Smith and Ion Kutalaba in the first round. Ankalaev will try to use all of his superb skills against Johnny Walker in this encounter. What do you think of these reactions? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss any future content from us.